Okay, this is Lesson 1b, Tabernacle Praise, in the study, The Praise of God's Glory. Let's talk about praise around the tabernacle, and I'll show you a picture of the tabernacle here. Exodus 33:7 says, Moses took his tent and pitched it outside the camp, far from the camp, and called it the tabernacle of meeting. And it came to pass that everyone who sought the Lord went out to the tabernacle of meeting, which was outside the camp. So it was, whenever Moses went out to the tabernacle, that all the people rose, and each man stood at his tent door, and watched Moses until he had gone into the tabernacle. And it came to pass, when Moses entered the tabernacle, that the pillar of cloud descended and stood at the door of the tabernacle, and the Lord talked with Moses. All the people saw the pillar of cloud standing at the tabernacle door, and all the people rose and worshipped, each man in his tent door. Okay, so people were worshiping now together now, but they were remote. They're far back from the tabernacle at this point. So I'll talk about some parts of the tabernacle of Moses now. Here's the drone's eye view of the tabernacle. And have you ever heard a detailed description of how every nail and post and piece of furniture of the tabernacle seemed to speak of Christ? Let me refer you to netbiblestudy.com. This is a website built by an Assembly of God preacher. Great source. There's a lot of studies on here, but among them is a 9-page PDF detailing how the elements of the tabernacle construction speak of the coming Savior. It's really a great website. I hope you'll check it out, man. It's very good. So here's the tabernacle here. The first thing you see is the front gate itself. This is, we enter this gate with thanksgiving. And the people would enter here with their sacrifice, whether it was a lamb, a goat, a pigeon, or whatever, and present it to the priest. He would kill it, cut it up on the tables on the right there, then lay it on the brazen altar to burn it. You can see the big flames coming up. The priest would then, after he was done offering the sacrifice, he would go back to that tub back behind the altar there, the round tub where the one priest is standing to the right, and he would wash his hands, and then he would be ready to go into the holy place. Notice that back to the left there in this view is a priest with a breastplate and blue vestment. That's the high priest. That's his uniform, if you will. Okay, so then the other priest, after he performed the sacrifice, he would enter into the holy place. Now this is the view of the holy place and the most holy place cross section here. So only Aaron and his sons of the priests could enter into the holy place. On the right side of the view there, in the upper right hand, is the table of showbread. They baked fresh bread for every Sabbath. Now, in a book called How to Enter the Presence of God by Terry Law, the showbread represents our will, which rules over our mind and emotions, and this speaks of our bread of life. In the middle front stands the golden candlestick, which have 7 lamps. They were kept lit 24/7, and that represents our intellect. It speaks of the light of the world and how he renews our mind. Near the curtain in the middle is the golden altar of incense. This speaks of our emotions. The prayers of the saints ascend to heaven like incense, it's written in Revelation. In the middle is that big veil guarding the Holy of Holies, where the presence of God dwells. You can see to the left in the back there is the Ark of the Covenant, and the mercy seat is sitting on top of it. No one but the high priest could enter in here, and him only once a year, or they would die just right now. They're gone. But we can consume the bread of life when we do accept Jesus Christ. He indwells us, or tabernacles with us, according to John 1:14. When we renew our mind in the light of the world and put on the mind of Christ, we can pray and love God through the blood of the Lamb. And it was he who tore apart the veil. Did you know when the moment that Jesus Christ died, that the veil of the temple was torn from top to bottom. Did you know that was 40 feet long and 6-inch thick burlap? Can you imagine trying to tear that? But it was top to bottom, so there had to be angels involved with that. So anyway, the veil that separated us from the presence of God in the Old Testament was torn in half. So now we can enter in by the blood of the Lamb. We don't need a priest to lead us now. Now, I thought about how does that apply to us when we're getting up on Sunday morning. We've done our practice session first, and it's like 10 minutes till the start of the service. We can use this template of the tabernacle to prepare ourselves, to prepare our own hearts to go in. And here's how we would do it. First, we go in with thanksgiving. We enter his gates with thanksgiving. And then, as if we were standing at the brazen altar, we confess our sins, if only to ourselves. We confess our sins and offer our sacrifice, being praise. Then we cleanse our spirits by washing off the world, like the anger, frustration, guilt, grudges, pride, everything we brought in, some of which came in our back seat with our children. No, but we submit. Then we submit our will at the table of showbread. Okay. We renew our minds and pray in the Spirit and ask for peace and clarity of purpose at the golden lampstand. When we go over, when we picture the altar of incense, we offer up our emotions in adoration and praise and worship even before we go into the service. Then we step into the Holy of Holies, as his presence is revealed within us through Christ by his Spirit. So now after the Israelites, that's how we can enter into the presence of God even today. But so that's the tabernacle of the Old Testament. And now after the Israelites entered into the promised land and started dispersing, the tabernacle couldn't follow everyone, so praise and worship kind of morphed from that point. The failure of the Israelites to cleanse the promised land of pagan corruption by casting out the Amalekites, the Canaanites, and all them otherites, as God had directed, that led everyone to do what was right in his own eyes. Soon they were demanding that God give them a king like all their corrupt neighbors had. It wasn't until David, the king, rebuilt the tabernacle in Jerusalem and then his son built the temple that the next great phase of praise and worship got established. Next, we'll talk about the higher praise. Please go on to the next section 2A, please.